welcome to the stage, or come on up, Leif Wallin! Yeah, go get him!
Yeah, I was looking to improve my writing skills, so I was looking for a contest to enter, and I found one, and the winner of this contest won $500 and an all-expenses-paid trip to New York. I knew I had to enter it. But it wasn't the New York you're thinking of, it was New York Mills, Minnesota. There's not a whole lot of difference between those two, but it's called the Great American Thinkoff. Now it's a contest, and they'll put together a premise, and then you have to write an essay on it, affirmative or negative. A couple years ago, one of the topics was, is it ever right to do the wrong thing? And this year, the essay was, do the wealthy have an obligation to help the poor? Well, I knew I had to write an essay to that, because, I mean, that's just so obvious. Yes, the wealthy do have an obligation, right? Yeah. All right. So I fired off my essay, and they were going to announce the four contestants that would go participate in the debate on May 1st. And come May 1st, no phone call. And I thought, well, they probably had a whole lot of entrants, so it's like, well, no big deal. All right. You know, honestly, I was pissed, because I had a killer essay. I just knew it would win. And a couple days later, I come home from work, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and I hear this guy says, hi, this is Jamie from the Thinkoff. We'd like you to come down for the finals. And I just about jumped out of my skin. I was so pumped up. And then he says, and don't worry about lodging. We'll be putting you up at our bed and breakfast, the Whistle Stop Inn. And I said, oh, that's just small town America. That is perfect. Well, we had to be down there on a Friday before the Saturday to meet the press. Now remember, this is New York Mills, so the press was Bob, who comes down from Perham. And we had dinner at the Eagles Cafe, and I couldn't help it where I felt I was scoping out the other contestants. One guy was Dave, an engineer from MIT from North Carolina, and I figured he's going to be the brainiac of the bunch. And then there was Barbara. She was an 80-year-old grandmother, sharp as a tack. In fact, before dessert, she snuck out back to smoke a couple of heaters. Look out for Barbara, she's going to be good. And then there was Raelle. Raelle was a local girl from Battle Lake, just an hour away, so I knew she had the home field advantage. I knew my work was going to be cut out for me. Well, the next day the debate started, and the negatives go first to figure out the winner of the negatives. And like I thought, Dave, the brainiac guy, he was Mr. Logical Rational, 1 + 1 = 2 kind of guy. And then Barbara, his opponent, in her essay, she had cited a couple of Bible verses, and I thought, ooh, careful those Bible verses, because you can twist those in so many ways. And sure enough, in the rebuttal section, they asked her about a Bible verse that contradicted her Bible verse. And so she kind of hemmed and hawed and thought a little bit, and then cited a couple other Bible verses, and I thought, ooh, it's a mortal wounding for Barbara. The next up was the affirmatives, and it was me and Raelle, and we were up there for a good 25 minutes, and all of a sudden it was done, and I don't remember a thing that was said. It was just such a blur. Well, the week before had been the Little Miss Princess contest, and so it's an audience votes in this contest, and so it's the Little Miss Princesses who sashayed up and down the aisle to collect all the votes. So small town, it was wonderful. They tallied up the votes, and the announcer said, and advancing to the finals, for the negative, Dave Eckel, and for the affirmatives, Leif Wallin, and it only gets harder from here. Well, I got the first question, and they asked me about my obligation, and I said, to expand on the obligation, I said, well, obligation is like, if you see a drowning man and you don't know how to swim, you're not obligated to jump in and save him, but you can throw him a rope or dial 911 or call for help, right? So there's levels of obligation. And then they asked Dave his first question, and they said, if there's no obligation, do you advocate the total elimination of welfare, Social Security, all those government programs? And I could see the wheels turning in Dave's head. I could have swore I saw smoke coming out of his ears. And he said, yes, total elimination. And I said, yes, I've got you now. And in my rebuttal, I said, you can try to reduce, but you can't eliminate them all. I thought that's got to be a point for me. And in the final section, I talked about obligation, I talked about obligation, and it's like a human emotion. We all love and we all hate, and we've all given at some time. It's just a part of us, and unless you can find someone that has never given to someone, it's a part of us, and so that's why it is us. And then Dave's final statement was about, well, you don't want to obligate people, but you want to teach them there's a responsibility to it, so they want to do it. And I thought, no, that's a good argument too. Well, once again, the little Miss Princesses sashayed up and down the aisle and got the votes. And they gathered us all up on the podium, and they said, and the winner of the Great American Thinkoff, for the negatives, Dave Eckel. And the crowd went wild, and the media, or Dave from Perham, came down to take pictures. And it was just so fun. There were no penalties, no penalty flags, no red flags, just good darn fun. And my biggest reward of that evening wasn't the trip or the $500. It was when it was all said and done, we sat on the front porch of the Whistle Stop Inn, and we talked till the wee hours of the night and became good friends. Thank you.
That was amazing! Yay!